I'm Derek Gripper, and I'm going to just discuss a few things with you about the classical guitar and about how we play the classical guitar and things that will be useful for you regardless of whether you play jazz, classical, fingerstyle, whatever it is. So the most important thing when you're learning anything is to do one thing at a time. This is pretty much the greatest tip you can get when learning a musical instrument, when learning to drive, whatever it is that you're doing. So when you get into a car and you have to learn to do all these things, if you try and do them all at once, it becomes very difficult. But if you just sit in the car and you practice moving the stick shift around, hopefully you press the clutch in first, maybe you practice pushing the clutch in first, and then you put that, and you start to put simple things together, it becomes very, very easy to move from one stage of learning into the next. So if we take the very simplest chord on the guitar, E minor, you want to just put your finger there, put your other finger there. You want to check, okay, are we hearing both notes? So we've got that note there, that's sounding. You put the second note down, that's sounding. You also want to check if you're cutting out any strings. So if we have the fingers flat like that, you're going to have this problem. So you've got to keep on the tip of the fingers, and then you can hear if it's working or not. And you just take that time to practice that, one thing at a time. So put the finger down, the other one, feel it out, and go for it. So that would be the first thing that you do if you're learning a chord. One finger at a time, and give a listen to the chord. Then once you're comfortable with that, then you try put both fingers down at the same time. Again, you just simply practice the movement because it's one thing at a time. And then once you've got that used to that, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, you play it. Then you could add another chord. Let's say we're going to do C major, which is more complicated. It's got 3 fingers. So first one is here, second one is here, and third one is there. You want to check that they're all working nicely, that nothing's cutting out any other string, and we go. Again, we're going to do now, trying to put the whole thing down. Forget the playing, you just put it down and take it off again. And you get used to making that movement. At first you'll want to do one finger at a time, and you know it'll be all crazy, so you go back, you build the chord first, one note at a time, make sure you're on the tips of the fingers. The best place to play is always just behind the fret. Sometimes you have to compromise a bit if it's a chord that has 2 fingers on the same fret or something like that. But the best place is not on the fret, not too far back, but just there. You learn to place it, give it a listen, and then practice going on and off. And then you can play. Now we go back to the first chord we learned, which is E minor, putting that down, going to the second chord. And even without playing, you can practice these changes. And of course, you can apply this to difficult chords. If you're learning much more complex voicings, that doesn't matter. You first learn to feel them out. See if you can put all the fingers down at the same time. Then you worry about playing them. So I suppose you could call this the one thing at a time rule. Anything that you want to do, anything that you want to learn, in this case, just a chord change of 2 very simple chords. You look at it very simply, see what is it made up of. In this case, E minor was made up of 2 fingers, 1 and 2. We learned to put them down first separately, and then together, and then we learned to play them. Same thing with a change between 2 chords. We know how to play each chord, and we simply learn first how to move between them using the left hand, whatever those 2 chords are, and second, how to move between them, playing them, whether you're strumming a rhythm, doing a finger picking, whatever it is. But you do one thing at a time, and you let the learning go forward as easily as possible. Thanks.